They broke you, smile. They betrayed you, walk like royalty. They thought they destroyed you, act like nothing touched you. Because the moment they see you unbothered, that's the moment they realize they never had the power to break you. Unbothered is the new revenge. And let me tell you why. Because silence, grace, and self-control speak louder than any outburst ever could. In a world obsessed with reactions, angry texts, public call-outs, passive-aggressive posts, being calm, composed, and unfazed makes people pause. It shakes them. Because when you show no cracks, no damage, no visible pain, you send a message that says, you never had power over me. Think about this. You're walking into your office, and someone who once tried to tear you down is standing right there, expecting you to look crushed, bitter, or even afraid. But instead, you walk past them in heels, in your confidence, like they're invisible. That's not just walking, that's flying. That's what I call real revenge. Because now they're not just haunted by your success, they're haunted by your peace. See, people are used to drama. They want to push your buttons. They want to see you lose control. You ignore their texts. They provoke. You walk away with dignity. They try harder to pull you into their chaos. Why? Because your calmness exposes their insecurity. Your silence forces them to sit with the echo of their actions. You're not feeding their ego, and that's their worst nightmare. Let me give you a real-life image. A woman gets cheated on. Her world collapses in private, but in public, she doesn't break. No social media rants, no angry messages, just a wardrobe upgrade, a new haircut, gym at 6 a.m., and dinner with friends at 8 p.m. She didn't throw her worth on the floor for someone to step on. She picked it up, stitched it with silence, and wore it like power. That's revenge without raising your voice. That's how you say, you hurt me, but you didn't finish me. When you start acting unbothered, you confuse people who once had access to the emotional version of you. The version that explained everything, justified feelings, and cried to prove innocence. That version no longer exists. You don't owe them tears. You owe yourself peace. There's something so wild about inner peace that it makes chaos look weak. Imagine being in a heated family situation where everyone's arguing, pointing fingers, raising their voices, and you're just sitting there, calm, collected, sipping your tea. Not because you don't care, but because you refuse to. I don't dance with dysfunction. That's emotional wealth. Even in friendships, a friend betrays you, talks behind your back. Instead of exposing them, you just disappear. Quietly. No announcement. No parade. And guess what? One day they'll see you glowing online, celebrating life, surrounded by new people, doing better than ever. That's revenge. That's the kind that burns quietly and lasts forever. You have to understand this. Not reacting isn't weakness. You have to understand this. Not reacting isn't weakness, it's strength. It means you've healed enough to know that not everyone deserves access to your energy. You don't owe your enemies a performance. Let them sit in silence, wondering why you never clapped back. Let them scroll through your photos thinking, how is she doing this well without me? Acting unbothered is the ultimate glow up. It's not about pretending you weren't hurt. It's about refusing to give the hurt a stage. Pain doesn't deserve to be your headline. Your comeback does. Your growth does. Your radiance does. And the most mind-blowing part? When you stop feeding pain, you start feeding power. Your silence becomes magnetic, your peace becomes sexy, and your dignity becomes dangerous. Let your success whisper in rooms they didn't think you'd enter. Let your stillness scream in hearts that tried to break you. Because the calmest storm is the one they never see coming. Pain is power in disguise. The very thing that once made you cry in the dark, question your worth, or sit silently in a crowded room, feeling invisible, that pain is not your curse, it is your curriculum. It is your rebirth. And when you stop resisting it, when you finally lean into it and say, teach me, it becomes your weapon. Think about the girl who failed her final year in college. Everyone moved forward and she stayed back. Ashamed, defeated, doubting herself. But instead of letting that moment define her, she took a year to rebuild herself. She studied harder. She walked a job. She started a side hustle. The next time she walked into that university, she didn't just pass. She owned the room. What looked like failure was just the universe delaying her victory until she was ready to handle. That pain taught her grit, hunger, and humility. That pain didn't break her. It upgraded her. Pain comes to shake you, to disrupt your comfort zone. It forces you to face the things you were avoiding. A breakup you didn't expect. It teaches you boundaries. A toxic job that drained your soul. Protection. Betrayal, it's redirection. Every wound, every scar is a map toward a stronger version of you. But only if you're willing to look beyond the hurt and ask, what is this making me become? There's a woman who lost her job unexpectedly. She panicked. Bills, rent, future, unknown. But within that storm, she found a part of herself she'd ignored for years. Her passion for cooking. She started small, one meal, one post, one order. Fast forward, she now owns a thriving food business and employs 3 people. Her pain pushed her into her purpose. What felt like the end was simply her truth in disguise, waiting to be discovered. The thing about pain is, people think it makes you weaker. No, pain refines you. It strips you down to the core, and once everything fake is gone, what remains is real, raw, and protection. Betrayal, it's redirection. Every wound, every scar is a map toward a stronger version of you. But only if you're willing to look beyond the hurt and ask, what is this making me become? There's a woman who lost her job unexpectedly. She panicked. Bills, rent, future, unknown. But within that storm, she found a part of herself she'd ignored for years. Her passion for cooking. She started small, one meal, one post, one order. Fast forward, she now owns a thriving food business and employs 3 people. Her pain pushed her into her purpose. What felt like the end was simply her truth in disguise, waiting to be discovered. The thing about pain is, people think it makes you weaker. No, pain refines you. It strips you down to the core, and once everything fake is gone, what remains is real, raw, and untouchable. You find strength you never knew you had. You become immune to the petty, the fake, the shallow. Because once you've walked through fire, you don't fear the smoke anymore. Imagine a woman going through a divorce. Everyone whispers behind her back. Some celebrate her downfall. But in that lonely season, she finds herself again. She travels alone. She learns how to fix things without asking for help. She rebuilds her finances. Her heart? It still aches, but it beats with clarity now. She doesn't beg for love. She attracts it. She doesn't chase attention. She commands respect. That pain, it sculpted her into the version of herself she was always meant to be. Pain teaches you how to breathe in suffocation. It teaches you patience when everything is falling apart. It teaches you silence when your scream would do nothing but echo. And the best part? It gives you a story, a voice, a presence. The most powerful people in the world aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who were crushed, disappointed, humiliated, and still chose to rise anyway. You don't grow in comfort. You grow in chaos. You grow in heartbreak. You grow when you've lost everything and still get up the next morning to fight for a better life. That's power. That's inner royalty. That's transformation. Pain sharpens your instincts. It clears out your circle. It makes you dangerous. Not because you hurt others, but because you're unshakable now. Every time someone thought they broke you, what they really did was hand you the hammer to rebuild yourself. Every tear you cried watered your strength. Every sleepless night was a training ground. Every no you received gave birth to your own yes. Pain didn't come to destroy you, it came to introduce you to your own fire. They lost access, not you. That's a whole mindset shift. Because you're not mourning a loss, you're reclaiming your space. When someone exits your life, whether by betrayal, distance, or silence, don't for a second believe you were the one left behind. No, you are the one who evolved. You outgrew their small talk, their fake love, their temporary loyalty. You didn't lose them. They lost access to the rarest soul in the room. Take the woman who always showed up for people, answering calls at 2 a.m., forgiving lies, shrinking her light just to keep others comfortable. One day she realized, this is draining me, not growing me. So she stopped chasing, stopped explaining, stopped being available to people who treated her like a backup plan. And what happened? People called her cold, different, too full of herself. But the truth? She just raised her standards. And those who couldn't reach it, they weren't cut off. They were just denied re-entry. They lost access. That friend who ghosted you the moment life got hard? That lover who only loved you when it was convenient? That family member who only called to ask for things, never to give? You didn't lose anything when they left. You just finally saw the truth. And the truth is, not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people belong in the balcony, watching you shine from a distance. Because what they had wasn't love. It was access. And when access becomes entitlement, it's time to lock the gate. Remember the woman who was always the emotional pillar of her group? She gave advice, lent money, forgave betrayals, until one day she hit her own crisis and not a single person showed up. That moment changed her. She realized she was never truly loved. She was just useful. So she did the unthinkable. She stopped being useful. She became unavailable. She built boundaries. and suddenly the silence from others got loud. But she didn't fall into guilt, because now she knew if someone disappears when you say no, they were never there for you, only for what you gave them. They lost access. Let's talk about relationships. A woman gives her all to a man. Time, energy, heart, patience, everything. He takes her for granted, thinking she'll always be there. But one day, she doesn't answer his texts. She doesn't check his stories. She doesn't ask where he's been. Not out of spite, but because she realized her worth isn't up for debate. And suddenly he panics, tries to return, sends long messages, regrets everything. But now it's too late. Because once a woman knows her value, she doesn't downgrade it. He lost access. Not because she became bitter, but because she became better. Here's the truth. The version of you who tolerated nonsense, over-explained your feelings, and begged for love, she's gone. The new version protects her peace like royalty guards a crown. She knows that energy is currency and not everyone deserves a transaction. So don't be shocked when people start noticing your absence. Let them. Your silence is your evolution. Your distance is your power. You're not cold, you're clear. And this applies even at work. The colleague who once leaned on you to cover for them, take the blame, or do extra hours while they slacked off. You stop playing the team, player for the team that never played for you. Now they call you difficult, but that's just code for no longer available to be used. They lost access to your loyalty, your integrity, your grace. And that is their loss, not yours. So walk tall. Wear your boundaries like armor. Because when people notice, they can no longer manipulate you. They'll say you've changed. You became conscious. They didn't lose you. They lost access to the privilege of your presence. And that's the most powerful shift in the world. Peace is the loudest clapback. Not your words, not your revenge, not your explanations. Just silence, calm, evolution. Because nothing unsettles a chaotic soul more than the one they couldn't break, moving forward unshaken. You want to know what really drives them? Mad? When you don't respond, when you don't chase, when you don't stoop to their level, when your peace becomes louder than their noise. Take the woman who was constantly dragged into drama. Friends turning into enemies overnight, co-workers gossiping behind her back, family criticizing every decision she made. For years she tried to defend herself, tried to prove her worth, tried to keep the peace by sacrificing her own. But one day she got tired, not angry, just exhausted. And in that stillness she made a decision. I will not lose myself trying to convince others of who I am. She didn't argue anymore. She didn't explain. She just moved differently. That's when people started noticing. Not because she screamed louder, but because her silence was deafening. There's a woman whose ex did her dirty. Cheated, lied, manipulated. Everyone expected a breakdown. Expected public tears, social media rants, maybe even a desperate attempt to win him back. But she did none of that. She glowed up, worked on herself, focused on her body, her business, her peace. He watched silently as she rose like a phoenix, untouched by the ashes he left behind. That's what peace looks like. That's what power feels like. The most vicious revenge is not to fight, but to flourish. Peace doesn't mean weakness. It means strength in restraint. It means knowing your worth is too high to be auctioned off in petty arguments. It's the woman who walks away when others would scream. It's the girl who leaves the room rather than prove a point to someone committed to misunderstanding her. Peace is not being passive. It's being intentional. It's choosing what deserves your energy, and more importantly, what doesn't. It's choosing what deserves your energy, and more importantly, think about this. A girl's name gets dragged through the mud. Rumors flying. Lies spreading. She hears everything, sees everything, but she posts nothing, says nothing, reacts to nothing, and while others expect her to collapse, she just keeps rising. That calmness, that composure, that elegance, it burns their soul more than any insult ever could. Because deep down, they know they couldn't touch her peace. That's how queens move. Silent, unbothered, elevated. Even in the workplace, peace is your power. Even the moment you need them, they do not fill a place. They disappear. They do not fill your bowls. Your crane, your crane, your crane. Sarkati mamo. A colleague tries to provoke you, throw shade in meetings, take credit for your work. You smile, you don't retaliate. You let your results speak. You let your discipline shine. Eventually, everyone sees the truth because peace is loud. It echoes in performance, in consistency, in quiet confidence. That's how legacies are built. Not by clapping back with words, but by leveling up so high that the noise can't reach you anymore. A woman once said, "I used to react to everything, now I just observe." That's growth. That's healing. That's peace. It doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means she cares about herself more, about her mental health, about her spirit. And when peace becomes your priority, your life becomes a fortress. No chaos can live where peace resides. No drama can touch a soul that has already outgrown confusion. They expect chaos from you. Give them calm. They expect bitterness. Give them detachment. They expect you to fall. Show them how gracefully you rise. Because when your peace speaks, it roars without sound. And that's the kind of energy that doesn't need validation. It becomes its own language. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them wonder how you're still glowing. That's what happens when you stop clapping back and start clapping for yourself. Peace isn't the absence of noise. It's the refusal to be consumed by it. And when you find it, protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Your energy is currency. Stop spending it on people who aren't even worth the change. Every text you send, every call you answer, every room you walk into, you're either investing or you're draining. And just like money, not everyone deserves a swipe of your card. Because some people are overdrafting your soul and calling it love, friendship, or family. But once you learn how valuable your energy is, you'll stop giving discounts to those who never paid attention to your worth in the first place. There's a woman who used to say yes to everything. She picked up calls from people who only dialed her number when their lives were falling apart. She was the emergency contact in everyone's life. But when she was the one bleeding, her phone was silent. And then it hit her. I'm emotionally bankrupt, and they're still withdrawing. So she did what strong women do. She closed her emotional bank to the public. She restructured her priorities. She put herself on top of her own list. And for the first time in years, she felt rich. Not in money, but in peace, in clarity, in control. Because when you stop giving your energy to chaos, you start experiencing wealth in your soul. Energy is not just emotion, it's direction. Where your attention goes, your life flows. Here, ever notice how tired you feel after spending time with certain people? That's not your body being lazy. That's your spirit telling you something is wrong. That's your intuition saying, why are we giving this person our light when they only bring darkness? You don't owe anyone your energy just because you've known them a long time. Some relationships expire. And the cost of keeping them alive? Too high. Think of the girl in a toxic relationship. Giving, giving, giving. She becomes his therapist, his nurse, his cheerleader, his punching bag. And he becomes her everything, except what she needs. Until one day, she realizes she's running on fumes. She looks in the mirror and barely recognizes the woman staring back. That's when the shift happens. She doesn't scream. She doesn't fight. She just stops. Stops investing in his potential, starts investing in her reality, and guess what? That's the moment she starts thriving. Because the energy she was pouring into him, she redirected it into her growth, her healing, her glow up. Even at work, energy is currency. You're not just getting paid for your hours, you're exchanging your spirit, your time, your creativity. So why give your best to a job or boss that sees you as replaceable? Why grind for a title when it's costing you your mental health? Choose roles and places where your energy multiplies, not where it's stolen. Because no paycheck can replace your peace. And no title is worth your inner silence screaming for help. Let's talk about the scroll culture. You wake up, check your phone, scroll through highlight reels of other people's lives. You feel behind, less beautiful, less successful. And just like that, your energy is gone before the day begins. Stop giving your currency to illusions. Reclaim it. Create before you consume. Center before you compare. Because you are wealth. Your energy is wealth. Don't let pixels rob you of your power. You walk into a room and your presence shifts the energy. That's power. But what you don't realize is that not everyone deserves to sit at your table. Some just want to eat. Others want to feed. Learn the difference. You are not here to fix everyone. You are not a rescue boat for sinking ships who choose not to swim. You are a lighthouse. You shine. And those who want to find their way will rise to your light, not drain it. Your boundaries are your bank. Protect them. Your rest is your recharge. Prioritize it. Your joy is your profit. Guard it like royalty. Because the moment you realize your energy is the most expensive thing you own, you'll stop selling it to cheap experiences and temporary people. You'll become exclusive, not because you're arrogant, but because you're finally aware of your value. Silence builds legacy, not noise. Because the real ones don't talk about what they're doing, they do it. They don't announce every move, every plan, every grind, they move in silence. And when it's time, they let their results do the talking. That's what power looks like. You don't have to scream to be heard, when your success is loud enough to echo across rooms you haven't even stepped into yet. Look at the girl who got cheated on, humiliated, mocked behind her back. Everyone expected her to explode, to break down, to make a scene. But she didn't. She went silent. Not because she was weak, but because she was preparing for the kind of comeback that doesn't need a caption. 6 months later, she walked past the same people who once laughed at her, in better shape, glowing skin, with a calm that made noise without saying a single word. That's legacy. Not built through drama, but discipline. Social media taught us to overshare, to talk about every step like we need applause for existing. But the truth is, some of the strongest women you'll ever meet are the ones you know the least about. Because when you're truly working on something legendary, healing, evolving, building something real, you don't have time to explain it. Silence isn't absence, it's focus. It's the woman who stops talking about leaving him and actually does. It's the girl who disappears for a year and comes back owning the business she once only dreamed of. That's what happens when noise turns into action. You know who they underestimate the most? The quiet girl. The one who doesn't shout her achievements, who doesn't brag, who stays in her lane. But watch closely, she's the one making the biggest moves. While others compete for attention, she builds an empire brick by brick. People wonder how she got there, how she passed them. Easy. While they were performing, she was producing. While they were clapping back, she was clapping for herself. Even in heartbreak, the silent ones win. There's a woman who didn't beg, didn't post quotes, didn't try to make him jealous. She just left, quietly, with dignity. And then she flourished. Because silence is sacred when your spirit is under construction. You can't rebuild a mansion while entertaining noise from people who only know how to tear things down. That's why silence isn't weakness. It's protection. It's elevation. It's preparation. At work, it's the same. There's a woman who was always overlooked, talked over in meetings, ignored in decisions. She didn't fight for attention. She kept her head down, delivered excellence, stayed consistent. One day, when things hit the fan, they didn't call the loudest person, they called her. Because silence, paired with substance, always wins in the end. Noise is temporary. Reputation is legacy. Your silence is your secret weapon. In a world addicted to attention, being unavailable is powerful. Being unread is mysterious. Being unbothered is divine. You don't need to post every move, every meal, every heartbreak. Let them wonder. Let them guess. There's power in privacy. There's magic in mystery. Because what's silent today becomes legendary tomorrow. Think of the lotus. It grows in mud, not with noise, not with drama, but in stillness. And when it blooms, it doesn't need to announce itself. It just is. That's you. You're not here to be noise. You're here to be art, to be remembered, to be legacy. And that's built not in crowds, but in silence. Not in claps, but in clarity. The world won't see you coming because silence has already made way for your arrival. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone who was blind to it from the start. You are not here to shrink so others can feel tall. You are not here to explain your silence, your glow up, your boundaries, or your evolution. You are here to own your light even when they try to dim it. The most powerful woman is the one who walks away without noise, without revenge, without explanation. Because peace is her proof and power is her presence. Remember this. Queens don't clap back, they level up. They don't beg to be understood, they rise to be remembered. The world may overlook you, underestimate you, even try to break you. But like fire, the more pressure you apply, the brighter you burn. You are not what happened to you, you are what you choose to become after it happened. They left, let them. They betrayed you, bless them. They doubted you, thank them. Because their exit was your entrance into becoming unstoppable. Let them talk. Let them watch. Let them wonder how you healed without them. Let them question how you bloomed in the dark, how you found strength in silence, how you built a castle from the bricks they threw at you. Because while they were watching, you were. When it blooms, it doesn't need to announce itself. It just is. That's you. You're not here to be noise. You're here to be art, to be remembered, to be legacy. And that's built not in crowds, but in silence. Not in claps, but in clarity. The world won't see you coming because silence has already made way for your arrival. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone who was blind to it from the start. You are not here to shrink so others can feel tall. You are not here to explain your silence, your glow up, your boundaries, or your evolution. You are here to own your light even when they try to dim it. The most powerful woman is the one who walks away without noise. Survival. This is rebirth. This is what happens when a woman finally says, I don't chase, I attract. I don't beg, I build. I don't compete, I conquer. That's the shift. That's the moment the world begins to feel your absence, where they once took you for granted. You want revenge? Walk past them healed. You want power? Stay unbothered. You want respect? Speak with action. Because the loudest person in the room is rarely the one with real control. The one who holds the room is the one who doesn't need to speak to be felt. That's you. Silent, strategic, supreme. Don't just glow, blind them. Don't just heal, transform. Don't just leave, level up so high they need binoculars just to remember what they lost. You are not made to stay in places that dim your brilliance. You are not built to serve in spaces that don't see your crown. You are the storm they weren't ready for, the peace they can't disturb, the legacy that outlives their noise. You have nothing to prove, no one to chase, no need to shout. Your energy is too sacred, your time too valuable, your journey too divine. So walk like you own every room you enter, because you do. Speak only when your words can elevate, because they will. And rise like the sun every time they count you out, because your light was never dependent on their permission. You were not born to be background noise. You were born to be the whole damn anthem. Let your silence be your power, your peace be your armor, your glow be your greatest comeback. Because legends don't explain, they arrive. And baby, it's your time.